Have you ever heard of deep-sea gigantism? It's an amazing phenomenon where creatures living in the deepest, darkest parts of the world's oceans grow to truly massive, almost mythical sizes. Want proof? Here are the largest sea monsters ever caught on film. Number 15. The Orfish. If you've ever heard a salty old tale of deadly encounters with giant sea serpents, then this one's going to give you a shiver. The Orfish is that sea serpent. That's right, they're real. But how much battling they actually do with fishermen and boats? Well, that's the fishy bit of the story. These incredible creatures live in very deep oceans, and it's thought that they probably hang out at depths of up to 3,300 feet, so they're very rarely ever seen. In fact, they're mostly only witnessed by humans when they wash up dead on beaches. They're the longest of all bony fish, growing up to a humongous 56 feet long. Another reason that these big guys are seldom seen is probably because they taste disgusting. Described as gelatinous, the giant oarfish has avoided becoming a sought-after fish simply by being too gross to eat. Already part of myth and legend, the giant oarfish does seem to have some kind of mystical power. They're known to turn up just before an earthquake, like some kind of slippery soothsayer. So that's one awesome sea monster. Number 14. Ocean sunfish. Some of the weirdest looking of our sea monsters, ocean sunfish are massive, tailless fish with huge fins often found floating on their side. But unlike your goldfish, that doesn't mean it's at death's door. It's probably just soaking up some rays at the surface, hence the name sunfish. Their massive dorsal fin gives plenty of people a bit of fright as they're often mistaken for sharks when they pop up to the surface for a spot of sunbathing. The heaviest of all the bony fish out there, the ocean sunfish can weigh as much as 5,000 pounds. That's as heavy as a small hippopotamus. To get to this size, they need to eat a lot. And strangely enough, their favorite food is jellyfish. And because jellyfish are mainly made out of low-calorie, plain old water, these guys have to eat tons of them. Sadly though, with all of the plastic garbage floating around in the world's oceans these days, sunfish often mistakenly eat plastic bags, which look a lot like jellyfish when they're floating in the sea. This is now one of the biggest risks to the shrinking population of these fish. They're considered vulnerable in the wild. The poor old sunfish might not be as sexy as a shark, even as majestic as a whale, and it's definitely not the prettiest fish on the planet. But even floating blobs like this guy deserve a chance. So come on, people. Recycle and let's save the sunfish. Number 13. Giant squid. These epic sea monsters are so cool. They're stuff of legend, old-age tales of fishing boats being wrestled by these beasts. And when you see the size of some of the giant squid, you're going to understand why. The biggest ever recorded giant squid measured a colossal 59 feet long and weighed a ton. That would make some monstrous calamari rings. They may actually get bigger than that, though, because these huge invertebrates are notoriously difficult to study, and much of their behavior and knowledge about them is generally still unknown. The closest that scientists ever really get is if a dead giant squid washes up on a beach somewhere, or they're accidentally caught by a surprised fisherman. They live in the very deep parts of the ocean, and it's believed that they mainly eat fish, other squid, and quite possibly even small whales. These creatures are equipped with 8 arms and 2 additional tentacles that they use for feeding, literally like hands for popping food into their beaks. The giant squid also sports a set of gigantic peepers. Their eyes are the biggest of all creatures on Earth, measuring a whopping 10 inches across. And that means that down in the sea where it's really dark, they can likely see their prey before their prey sees them, which is another awesome adaptation. Number 12. The sperm whale. The sperm whale, despite having a silly name, you know you're giggling a little bit, is still a super weird and mysterious whale, making it one of the spookier sea monsters on our list. The sperm whale's bulbous head is filled with a strange substance that's been called spermaceti. Stop laughing. In the old times, whalers used to think that stuff was just sperm in its head, but scientists have discovered that it's actually not. However, they actually don't really know what it is at all. There are a few ideas, but nobody really knows for sure. The main thought is that the substance has something to do with the whale's amazing ability to dive really deep for long periods of time. Sperm whales are known to dive as deep as 10,000 feet, making them some of the deepest diving mammals on Earth. They use echolocation to navigate the pitch-black depths, emitting powerful clicks that are among the loudest sounds produced by any animal. These clicks are so strong that they can even stun prey, like giant squid, which make up a large part of their diet. Speaking of giant squid, sperm whales are one of the few predators capable of hunting these elusive creatures, and evidence of their epic underwater battles can often be found in the form of scars left by the squid's tentacle. Their teeth, located only on the lower jaw, are perfectly designed for gripping slippery prey in the dark depths. Despite their size and power, sperm whales are highly social animals, often forming pods led by females, while males tend to roam alone. That's where they basically hold their breath for like 90 minutes. Amazingly, there are still good numbers of these extraordinary creatures in the wild. They were the most popular whale for slaughter by whaling vessels of the 18th and 19th centuries. and they're apparently a particularly good source of another weird substance called ambergris, which is a stinky, greasy wax that is made in the whale's digestive system. Even though it basically smells of whale poo, ambergris is used in perfume making. Ew, gross. Number 11. The killer whale. The orca is somewhat unfairly also known as the killer whale. This super clever mammal is not a real threat to humans at all. In fact, there are actually no recorded attacks of orcas on humans in the wild. So it seems a pretty inaccurate name, but it does make these big creatures sound scary. Although, if you are a sea-dwelling creature and this incredible sea monster is hungry, well, who knows? The orca is a member of the dolphin family, so they live in pods or social groups just like dolphins do. These guys are really sociable creatures and have a whole bunch of different ways to communicate with each other. Orcas are also known for their unique hunting techniques, which vary depending on their pod and location. Some pods have been observed working together to create waves that knock seals off ice floes, while others will beach themselves temporarily to catch prey on shore. They even use a technique called carousel feeding, where they herd schools of fish into tight balls and then take turns slapping them with their tails to stun them. Each pod has its own distinct dialect of clicks and calls, almost like a unique language, which helps them identify and communicate with their group. Orcas are also incredibly intelligent, capable of problem-solving and even teaching their young specific hunting strategies. In some cases, they've been observed playing with their food, tossing it into the air before eating it, which scientists believe could be a way of practicing their skills. Like dolphins, orcas also make different sounds that are used to interact with other orcas, and they use echolocation, which is where they make sounds that travel underwater and bounce off of objects. The orcas can then tell how far away, how big, and what shape something is. That's a super clever and efficient way to find their prey. It's an amazingly strong predator with a wicked set of skills that makes it perfectly equipped to hunt and thrive in the oceans of the world. Orcas do enjoy a wide range of different prey. They're definitely killers in that sense. At the top of the food chain, they'll hunt anything from fish and squid to penguins, seals, and seabirds, and they're also pretty partial to the occasional whale. The orca sure does have a big appetite. Now it's time for today's topic. In May 2025, marine biologist and diver Alex Renner was conducting a solo dive off the coast of Manta Ray Bay, California, as part of a research project studying deep-sea thermoclines. At a depth of nearly 500 feet, far below where most sharks are typically encountered, Alex's camera recorded something no one expected, and he says he'll never forget. Without warning, a massive shark emerged from the darkness. Its body was thick and scarred, with eyes that locked onto Alex in eerie silence. The creature didn't circle, didn't dart, it just slowly advanced, as if assessing its next move. Alex froze, heart pounding, bubbles rising from his regulator in sharp bursts. His suit recorded elevated vitals and a sudden spike in breathing rate. The shark, at least 25 feet long, had an unusually broad head and deep-set features, unlike any great white previously documented. Its behavior was aggressive but controlled, as if it wasn't threatened, just curious. Alex managed to slowly ascend, never turning his back, until the boat's lights reached him. Experts now believe this could be a rogue deep-dwelling shark species or a rarely seen migratory predator. Whatever it was, Alex says one thing certain: it wasn't afraid of me at all. Number 10. Basking Shark. Some of the ocean's gentle giants, basking sharks are the second biggest sharks in the world. Only whale sharks are larger. The basking shark eats only plankton and catches its prey in a particularly unique and frankly strange-looking way. Its gargantuan mouth can open up to 1 meter wide, giving these creatures a funny and permanently surprised sort of expression. As well as being a monster-sized 40 feet long and considerably hefty at 10,000 pounds in weight, this supersized shark has some other unusual features. Their livers make up a colossal 25% of their body weight. Basking sharks are also known for their slow, deliberate swimming style, often cruising near the surface with their dorsal fins sticking out of the water, which has led to many mistaken sightings of sea monsters over the years. Despite their size, they are completely harmless to humans and are often curious about boats, sometimes swimming alongside them for extended periods. These sharks are migratory creatures, traveling thousands of miles across oceans to find the best feeding grounds. Interestingly, basking sharks shed their gill rakers, the structures they use to filter plankton, and grow new ones each year. They are also capable of breaching, leaping out of the water in a surprising display of power and agility for such a massive creature. Sadly, basking sharks are considered vulnerable due to overfishing and habitat destruction, as their slow reproduction rate makes it difficult for populations to recover. Their livers make up a colossal 25% of their body weight. So what does a basking shark actually need such a big liver for? Well, this shark's liver is stuffed full of a substance called squalene, which is what helps it to keep it afloat. That's really weird. This special filtration system that a basking shark uses to catch its food is pretty unique as well. It filters up to 4 million pounds of water an hour, capturing the tiny plankton and then separating them from the water itself, closing its massive mouth to pump the water out again through its gills. And that makes that talent totally jawsome. Number 9. The blue whale. The awesome blue whale is the biggest creature to ever live on planet Earth. It's larger than even any dinosaur. The most excellent thing is that these incredible sea monsters are still around today, so you could actually see one. It's pretty tricky to get your head around the real scale of the blue whale. They're monstrously big, measuring in at 100 feet long, which is like a 10-story building that's laid out flat, and weighing a totally incomprehensible 441,000 pounds. That's like 220 tons. To fuel their massive bodies, blue whales consume up to 4 tons of krill every single day during feeding season, which is roughly the weight of an adult hippopotamus. They do this by taking in huge gulps of water and then using their baleen plates to filter out the tiny crustaceans. Despite their size, blue whales are surprisingly graceful swimmers, capable of reaching speeds of up to 20 miles per hour when they need to. They're also known for their long migrations, traveling thousands of miles between their feeding grounds in colder waters and their breeding grounds in warmer tropical seas. Blue whales are solitary creatures for the most part, but they occasionally form small groups, especially in areas with abundant food. Their calves, born after a year-long pregnancy, are already about 25 feet long and weigh around 3 tons at birth, making them the largest babies in the animal kingdom. This extraordinary whale is the biggest of all sea monsters ever. And just to give you a little clue into these sorts of weights, the blue whale's tongue weighs about the same as an elephant. Ridiculously enormous. And their heart? Well, that's about the same size as a golf cart. Oh, and you can actually hear its heart beating from 2 miles away, which is mind-blowing. That gets us onto the blue whale's volume. They're the loudest creatures on Earth as well and can make sounds so loud that they can be heard almost 1,000 miles away by other blue whales. That's as loud as the sound of the volcano Krakatoa erupting, which was literally heard around the world. Number 8. The great white shark. You're gonna need a bigger boat. The first sea monsters on our list, although bigger, are like harmless baby birds compared to the blood-chillingly dangerous great white shark. It was a great white shark that stalked the coastline in the famous 1975 movie Jaws. And this is one massive, terrifying sea monster. The great white is a purpose-built killing machine with so many adaptations and features designed to make this shark one of the most efficient hunters on the planet. They have 3 rows of viciously sharp teeth, about 300 in total. These teeth are constantly replaced throughout their lifetime, ensuring they always have a deadly set ready to go. Great whites can detect a single drop of blood in 25 gallons of water, and their sense of smell is so acute that they can locate prey from miles away. They also have an organ called the ampullae of Lorenzini, which allows them to sense the electrical fields generated by the movement of other animals. This makes them incredibly effective at hunting even in murky waters or low visibility. Despite their fearsome reputation, great whites are actually quite cautious predators, often circling their prey several times before deciding to attack. They can also breach the water in spectacular fashion, launching their massive bodies into the air to catch seals and other prey. It seems that as many as half of all shark attacks on humans in the world could be attributed to great whites. Although these sharks may not always be out to kill the humans that they nibble on, I don't really know how you can tell if a shark has good intentions, though. Some scientists have suggested that the shark is just merely curious and taking a sample taste out of a human. But it will discard them when it realizes it's not really what it was looking for. That's not really too comforting for the victim. The sheer size and enthusiasm of the bite means that many great white snack-sized nibbles are ending up fatal anyway. Number 7. Beluga Whale. What a bulgy head this funny old whale has. A smaller sea monster than some, the beluga whale is the smallest of the whales, weighing up to 1.5 tons. It's still a whale, after all, and it measures out to 20 feet in length. The beluga whale is most recognizable for its amazing white color, but they're actually dark gray when they're born, then slowly turn white over time. It could actually take up to 10 years for them to be completely white. These whales are also unique in that they can move their necks, unlike most other whales, thanks to their unfused cervical vertebrae. This gives them an almost human-like ability to nod and turn their heads, which adds to their expressive and curious nature. Belugas are highly social animals, often forming pods of 10 to 20 individuals, though larger groups of hundreds have been observed during migrations. They're also known for their playful behavior, sometimes blowing bubbles or playing with objects they find in the water. In the wild, belugas are often seen interacting with humans, and their friendly demeanor has made them a favorite among whale watchers. Their thick layer of blubber not only keeps them warm in the icy Arctic waters, but also helps them float effortlessly near the surface. That weird, bulbous head is actually a really cool adaptation that this whale has developed. Inside the bulgy part of the beluga whale's head is a sort of pocket of stuff, known as the melon, which is made up of a waxy, oily substance. Now, although that does sound gross, it actually helps these whales to use echolocation as part of their body that they use to bend and direct their sound waves. So, when they're communicating with other whales, and the beluga, known as the canary of the sea, is the chattiest of them all, their melon helps them send and receive sound waves so they can find each other and locate food. Please feel free to add your own hilarious joke about melons here, but keep it PG-13 please. This is a family show. Number 6. The lion's mane jellyfish. With some of these awesome creatures growing up to 2.5 meters across and tentacles stretching an epic 30 meters, that's as long as the blue whale, by the way, the lion's mane jellyfish is definitely one of the world's biggest sea monsters. The lion's mane jellyfish, named because of their shaggy sort of appearance, like a lion's mane, live mainly in the North Pacific and Arctic waters where they hunt for small fish and crustaceans. These jellyfish are drifters, relying on ocean currents to carry them through the water, but don't let their passive movement fool you. They're highly effective predators. Their tentacles are covered in thousands of tiny, stinging cells called nematocysts, which release venom to paralyze their prey almost instantly. Interestingly, their tentacles can break off and still retain their stinging ability, making them dangerous even after they've drifted away. Despite their size, lion's mane jellyfish are surprisingly fragile, with their gelatinous bodies easily damaged by rough waters or predators like sea turtles and certain species of fish. They also play an important role in the ecosystem, providing shelter for small fish and crustaceans that hide among their tentacles for protection. Spookily, these sea creatures are bioluminescent, which means they make their own light and actually glow in the dark. Although you probably wouldn't be too happy to see one coming, they really do have a nasty sting that they use to stun their prey before they consume it. The jellyfish's mouth is positioned underneath the bell shape of its body, so it's a dangerously efficient hunter, basically shaped like a massive trap, grabbing and stinging with its long tentacles and gobbling its prey. Their sting, although pretty nasty, is not really known to be deadly to humans. It is, however, pretty painful, so I wouldn't pet one of these guys if I were you. Number 5. The Manta Ray. Now before you get all judgy, these manta rays are not the same as stingrays. They look similar, but where the stingray has, well, a sting in its long tail, the manta ray does not. Sure, it's got a long whip-like tail and looks a lot like a deadly stinger, but the manta ray is another of our ocean's gentle giants. So that's a relief when you see one of them, right? Growing up to an impressive 29 feet across, the manta ray is amongst the world's more vulnerable species. These highly intelligent creatures live along coastlines where there are coral reefs. Manta rays are known to have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any fish, which might explain their curious and playful behavior. They've been observed interacting with divers, sometimes even approaching them for what looks like a friendly inspection. These rays are also capable of breaching the surface of the water, leaping high into the air in a spectacular display that scientists believe could be a form of communication or even play. They have unique spot patterns on their bellies, which act like fingerprints, allowing researchers to identify and track individual rays. Manta rays are also known to form cleaning relationships with smaller fish, like wrasses, which remove parasites from their skin. This symbiotic behavior helps keep them healthy and is another example of their fascinating interactions with their environment. And as you know, these reefs are endangered from pollution and bad fishing practices, so it's put these mighty sea creatures in danger as well. Like some of the other mega monsters on our list, the manta ray feeds by filtering water for plankton and krill, but they're more agile than some of the big whales that we've seen so far. These guys do a whole load of somersaults to feed in one place where they find a bunch of krill to eat, spinning and turning to get the most out of one spot. They even churn up the water to make a kind of whirlpool that traps the food in the spiral and makes them a whole lot easier to catch. Number 4. Giant Pacific Octopus. The giant Pacific octopus is the biggest of all octopus species, and this mighty mollusk sure has some incredible skills. What about being able to change their appearance? A little bit like a chameleon to blend into their environment, making themselves look like coral or a big old rock just waiting for prey to pass by. It definitely does make these octopuses handy hunters. They can also reach gigantic sizes. The biggest known measured was a mind-blowing 30 feet across and weighed a colossal 600 pounds. These octopuses also have an incredible sense of touch, with thousands of suction cups on their arms that can taste and feel their surroundings. Each suction cup is equipped with chemoreceptors, allowing them to detect chemicals in the water and identify prey. They're also escape artists, known to break out of aquariums by squeezing through impossibly small gaps, thanks to their soft, boneless bodies. In the wild, they've been observed opening jars to get to food, showcasing their problem-solving abilities. Interestingly, they have a short lifespan of only 3 to 5 years, but they make the most of it by being highly active and resourceful. During mating, the male uses a specialized arm called a hectocotylus to transfer sperm to the female, after which the female lays thousands of eggs and guards them fiercely until they hatch. As well as looking pretty formidable, the giant Pacific octopus is also extremely intelligent. No, seriously, you don't want to mess with these creatures because they have 9 brains, 1 central brain and 1 to control each of their 8 arms. These clever octopuses are maze-solving masters with an unusually clever talent for mimicry. They mainly eat smaller crustaceans, but some have been known to be partial to the odd small shark if it's on the menu. If threatened, they're going to expel a black ink to cloud their predator's vision. That way, they can make an escape like an octopus ninja. It's truly extraordinary. The giant Pacific octopus is one of the most well-armed of all our sea monsters. Number 3. The Japanese spider crab. The largest of crabs in the world, the Japanese spider crab has 10 legs and can span as much as 12.5 feet, weighing at almost 20 kilograms. That's big enough to consume a human child. Masters of camouflage, these Japanese spider crabs live at depths of 150 to 200 meters, where they use the things around them to cover their shells and blend into the environment, becoming almost invisible to predators. Their long, spindly legs are surprisingly strong, allowing them to navigate the rocky ocean floor with ease. These legs can also regenerate if damaged, making them even more resilient in their harsh environment. Despite their intimidating size, Japanese spider crabs are surprisingly gentle and slow-moving, which makes them less of a threat and more of a curiosity. During mating season, males will often fight over females, using their massive claws to grapple with one another in a display of strength. Females can lay up to 1.5 million eggs at a time, though only a small fraction of these will survive to adulthood. These crabs are also known to migrate to shallower waters during the spring to spawn, making them more visible to fishermen and researchers, which may account for how they can live for up to 100 years, with some of them surviving even longer than that. However, these oversized crustaceans are more likely to be hunted by octopus or stingray than be much of a threat to themselves. They're scavengers, generally finding their food in the leftovers and decaying debris of animals and plants on the bottom of the ocean. There are plenty of legends around these creatures, and as much as they might not kill a human to feed, they absolutely have no problem gorging on any dead bodies that may find their way to the ocean floor. The Japanese spider crab is really only minding its own business. Just being a crab and cleaning up a lot of gross, dead stuff. Number 2. The whale shark. There's something fishy about this one, and it's not a whale at all. Despite its name, the whale shark is actually the world's biggest fish. They're only called whale because of their colossal size. How rude. Reaching sizes of up to 40 feet long makes it a big whopper. These big guys need a lot of food to keep them going. So what is it that they eat? Well, oddly enough, the whale shark, like other whales, even though, not a whale, mainly eats plankton, the teeny-weeny plants and animals that float around the sea. They also consume small fish and fish eggs, which they filter out of the water using their massive gills. Whale sharks are filter feeders, meaning they swim with their mouths wide open, taking in water and straining out their food. Their mouths can stretch up to 5 feet wide, which is impressive considering they don't have teeth for chewing. Instead, they rely on over 300 rows of tiny vestigial teeth that serve no real purpose. These gentle giants can process thousands of gallons of water each day to get enough nutrients. Interestingly, whale sharks are known to migrate thousands of miles across oceans in search of food, often following plankton blooms. So the biggest fish mostly just eats the smallest fish. Go figure. These colossal creatures are really docile and have been known to interact with people who are swimming or scuba diving near them in water, sometimes even allowing them to take a ride. These friendly interactions with humans may help to protect the endangered species. And as tourism to hang out with whale sharks increases, more of these awesome creatures will be protected. Well, there's a buck to be made, I guess. But whatever works. Number 1. Fin whale. The only creature that's larger than a fin whale is the blue whale. So this is one colossal mammal with some massive credentials. Named for their prominent dorsal fin, these magnificent, real-life sea monsters can grow up to 85 feet, weighing as much as 80 tons. Fin whales can swim at speeds of up to 23 miles an hour, but they're completely harmless to people and they only feed through their baleen system. This is a way of taking in huge amounts of water along with their food, then sieving it all out, keeping a hold of the prey and pushing the water out again. Despite their size, fin whales are known for their grace and agility in the water, often gliding effortlessly through the ocean. They are sometimes called the greyhounds of the sea because of their sleek, streamlined bodies and impressive speed. Fin whales are also highly social creatures, often traveling in small groups or pairs, though they can sometimes be seen in larger pods during feeding. Their deep, resonating calls can travel for miles underwater, allowing them to communicate with other fin whales across vast distances. These vocalizations are not only used for communication, but may also help them navigate the dark depths of the ocean. Interestingly, fin whales are known to occasionally breach the surface, leaping partially out of the water in a display of power and elegance. They dive down to depths of up to 200 meters in order to feed, mainly consuming krill. But these massive mammals are also adaptable and will eat other fish whenever there's a load of them available. They have a cool technique to kind of round up a school of fish, in fact. The fin whale will swim in circles around the schooling fish, getting them to bunch up closer into a kind of easy-to-eat bundle that they can then catch in their mouth. Well, this is very interesting indeed. The next time you head out on the water with a paddle or rowboat, you might just come face to face with one of the incredible sea creatures that roam our world. It's easy to see how all those legendary fisherman tales got started. But what would you do if you encountered one of the largest sea monsters ever? And more importantly, would you live to tell the story? Don't forget to check out all the other amazing content popping up on the screen, and I'll catch you next time.